pretty much every time.
Okay, today I'm changing out the water pump on my 96 Ford Ranger with a 2.3 4-cylinder in it. Reason I determined it was my water pump that needed to be replaced was I had a leak and it wouldn't leak consistently. It was intermittent, which doesn't necessarily mean means it's not like a gasket or something like that. It means it's the bearing seals in here. Here's my old water pump. If you can imagine, you have bearings in here and another seal right here, which you can kind of see if I put down the downspout in here. My phone focus. But down in here you can see a little shiny bit. That's more part of the seal. It just keeps it from, because obviously this portion is out of the motor. You can't have water in it. Water's going in here. Here's the impeller. For obvious reasons it has to be sealed. And so if you're having 100,000 miles of having the serpentine belt pull on it this way like that, it gets eroded that way. And then I changed the sensor on it about 3 months ago, and so I had that pressure released, and so the seals kind of wiggled out of place, started leaking intermittently. I could go a few days being dry, and then next day I'd have a puddle of antifreeze on the ground. So I knew it had to be replaced. Steps I took to get to this point: you have to remove the radiator shroud, the fan belt shroud, the fan belt itself. The fan belt fits on this pulley with these 4 little screws right there. The pulley sits like that on the motor. The 4 bolts go this way into the pulley. Kind of difficult to remove. Probably one of the hardest things to remove on this. Another thing you have to do at this point, once you've got that all out and the fan and the serpentine belt off, you take your belt tensioner right here. You just put a 3/8 socket, and a better focus here, into this hole right there. Put it in, pull it back. You take your serpentine belt off. It's pretty easy. Then you also have to take your timing belt cover off. Here's the timing belt and everything right there. Don't mess with that. If you change your timing, unless you know what you're doing, you can really screw up your motor. You get your cams and your valves working the wrong way. You get pistons hitting your valves, and you can really cost yourself tons of money. Do not mess your timing belt unless you absolutely know what the heck you're doing in that point. That's the timing belt cover. It fits like this onto the motor. As you can see, it goes on like that. I'm not going to get too specific on that. In order to take it off, this pulley sticks down in front of the cover. The cover actually slides in here like so, and so you can't just pull it off. So what you have to do, my particular model Ranger has an AC compressor and power steering pump. What you have to do to take those off is first you have to take off the 4 bolts that go right here. That are long and threaded, just like this. Also, make sure you got a manual to consult. Always makes things easier. And once you got that off, do not unhook any of the hoses or anything, because it is still under pressure, and that becomes a whole other job in and of itself. Most of the pipes are metal and hard and rigid. The only flexible part is this portion over here. And so all you got to do is really just kind of drag it up out of the way. And once it's out of the way, there's a bolt that goes in right here. It's this long one right there, and along with these 2. These are all 13s, and this one is a little bit smaller. I think it was a 10, I believe. The 2 bigger ones, but are definitely shorter than this one. This long one goes right there. The 2 shorter ones go down in this hole and that hole. They are easily, they're 13 millimeters. This one you have to use an open end wrench. This one you can use a socket with a short extension on it. The longer one that is smaller, this guy right here, fits in right here. That's the smaller one. After that, this whole mounting can actually come off. And it's always easier if you got a buddy to help you out with this. But you just kind of pull this up and out of the way so that pulley clears, and then you just kind of wiggle that cover off. It has 2 bolts. One that goes right here, the one that mounts there's actually a clip, and there's another bolt that goes right here, and you can see the mounting for the middle bolt. The other one's down here. You can see that threading right there. So you have to take those two off. After that, it's just kind of wiggling around. Watch this sensor because it does get stuck up right here. Just use finesse. Be smart about it. Don't be breaking stuff off when you're trying to jerk it out because you get impatient. Just feel it. Once you get to that point, you now have good access to your water pump. There are 3 bolts to it. The water pump actually sits like this in the motor. You can always tell because you got your breather hole right here, and this big thing on the bottom. Breather hole always goes up on top. You can always see it when you're looking down in the motor. And on my particular model, I looked up a couple other models. This is where the return, this is the outgoing. So you actually bring in water from the motor because the impeller turns this way, scooping the water in and out, which then, I actually haven't taken off, but my camera focus actually comes in here, and actually over, if you have a Y, which I do right here, it'll sit in like this, and this is where the return actually fits in, just like so. It actually fits in there underneath your stator here. It fits in just underneath right here. So the water pump pulls out, but you have to take that Y off. There are 2 bolts that go right here that you can't really see. You just have to kind of look in there. But see if I can find them for you. Oh, so there's one right here, right in the very middle of the screen, and there's one opposite on the other side. You can barely see it on the other side. Those 2 have to be removed in order for that Y piece. Depending if you have your heat coil taken out, you may have this blocked off, but that needs to come out and off before the water pump will come off, because the way it's positioned in the motor, you'll get pulling on this and this will get stuck. So you have to take this off. It wiggles out pretty easy, and pull this out. These are the 2 other hoses. That's the return hose that goes to the bottom of the radiator, hooks onto the bottom of your Y piece here. So you pull off your radiator, or your water pump. You got an O-ring there and stuff like that. Here's your new one. Got this at AutoZone. It was I think $55 and change. It trying to get it too messy. You got your top seal here. It's pretty easy. It's not a gasket. All you do is you got your O-ring here, and then you have the O-ring that you actually slip in there. And the way this your Y piece works right here is it goes in, and then even so, it's this bead right here fits onto the lip of this seal, and your O-ring fits right here, and then it actually goes further inside with this guy to make like a pressure seal. So as it goes in, it fits in far in. It's kind of tight there. I don't want to push now unless I got my O-ring. It's ready to go. I don't want to scratch it up, make anything that possibly cause a leak. That's the point I'm at so far. Use contact cleaner when needed. Always to keep it a neat job. This is where the water pump goes. So you get our water coming in and then dispersing out the rest of the system. Always clean your system before you do that. You can get a water pump flush kit, AutoZone. Basically comes the T cut in on the heater, on the return hose of the heater. The long one that fits on the Y piece right here, that's the long one that actually heads up in to the heater coil, which is this one right there. That's the feed to the heater coil. This is the return to the heater coil. This one. Hook your T onto it. It's got a threaded piece for the hose. Flush it out. There's actually a plug down there at the bottom of the radiators. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Just unplug it. Let it drain. Flush it out. Get it nice. Make it so you have nice, clean water coming out. Looks just like that. See, I already flushed mine. It looks nice, and it's already nice and clean in there. Don't think that regular water is good for your motor. Water does keep it cooler. So if you live in a hot state, I happen to live in Arizona, so it works. But don't use regular water. It's highly corrosive. If you are going to use water, definitely use 50-50 with antifreeze, half distilled water. I mean, if you're using a regular hose for flushing it, that's one thing that's going to drain. There's not going to be much in it. I'm actually going to put the correct stuff in afterward. So please don't just put regular water in. That'll definitely corrode your radiator, all your fluids. And it'll make it so, as you can see inside, you can't really see, it's too dark. I can see it. This camera's not focusing very well. But it's pretty corrosive. Just do anything to prevent that. And then at that point, just reverse your process.